Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-One. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We started in 1996 with the affirmation, I am hip hop. As well as rap is something we do, hip hop is something we live, as well as you are not just doing hip hop, you are hip hop. As you know, the preservation and establishment of hip hop as a divinely inspired global culture of peace and prosperity, this is our work. This is the work we've been doing, and this is the work we will continue to do. So this work continues this week. Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. This is our gospel read, where we are getting to the end, we're getting to the close now of our gospel. And what a wonderful read this has been, even to the point of manifesting the principles of the gospel in real life. This read today is short because I'm running to New York, the New York area. As you know, we've been organizing not only 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. We're putting an exhibit there for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. We're putting an exhibit right at the birthplace of hip hop. You guys know that. But we're also putting together, our Temple of Hip Hop facility in Newark, New Jersey, a place that we're calling Hip-Hopia. As you guys know, we've been discussing Hip-Hopia for a minute now. This is that safe space for hip-hop where we concentrate hip-hop's culture into a spot where our children can benefit from what we have created. The world can also come in and benefit from hip-hop in an organized way. It's here that hip-hop gets to speak for itself, outside of corporate influence, outside of any influence for that matter. It speaks for itself. So this is Hip-Hopia, and it looks like we're going to be landing in Newark, New Jersey. Shout out to Queen Latifah, shout out to Naughty by Nature, shout out to Redman, shout out to Hakeem Green from Channel Live. Big up to everybody that's in, and also Lords of the Underground, can't forget Dupree Kelly, Councilman Dupree Kelly there, Do It All in Newark as well. Shout out to everybody who's in support of the Temple of Hip Hop landing in Newark, New Jersey. And so this is where we're being. So I'm going over there to look at the facility, make sure we're right, got ourselves together here, and that we're organized, looking at lease and all of this type of stuff as well. But also February 17th is where we're doing our graffiti art conference at the Point, which is the Tats Crew's headquarters. We're going to be over there at 12 o'clock on the 17th. Matter of fact, let me just run through real quick before we start our read. Let me just run through some of the announcements, some of the things going on this week where you might want to be involved. February, like I just said, February 17th, 2023, we are having a private graffiti art gathering at the Point at 12 noon in the Bronx. The Point is the Tats Crew's headquarters. So you can just look up the address if you want to come through or whatever. But that's the Tats Crew headquarters, the Point, meeting with about 25, 30 graph writers. And we're discussing how to put together this exhibit. Of course, I have the blueprint, no pun intended, as to how I want it to go. But I'm there to also hear how hip-hop wants it to go. Even down to how to deal with the artists themselves. We have several breakdowns as to how we can acquire the art, borrow the art, copy the art, this kind of stuff. There'll be several artists and there'll be several ways in which you can participate in the creation of this exhibit. So February 17th, we'll be discussing that. That's the Hip Hop 50 Years exhibit at the 1520 Sedgwick Avenue Community Center. And that's opening August 11th, 2023. Also, you guys should know February 25th is the Hip Hop Alliance Black History Month Conference. February 25th is the Black History Month, Hip Hop Alliance Black History Month Conference. It's an online conference. So just go to hiphopalliance.org or thehiphopalliance.org. Actually, it's hiphopalliance.org. Go to hiphopalliance.org. You'll see all the information there if you want to participate in that Black History Month conference happening on the February 25th, 2023. Let me also mention that on the 17th, on the same day, going back real quick, on the same day that we're going to be doing the graffiti art exhibition, graffiti art conference and meeting on the 17th, the same day, Ice-T gets a Walk of Fame. He gets a Hollywood Walk of Fame in California. So if there's any Temple members out there, it'd be kind of cool if you showed up and thanked Ice-T on behalf of the Temple of Hip Hop. Ice-T has been a long-time supporter of the Temple of Hip Hop in particular, and of course a friend, as you know. That's Ice-T getting his, and congratulations, Ice-T, for getting his Hollywood star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's February 17th in California, Los Angeles, California. Finally, you have the Stop the Violence movement. We have a conference, or we just had a conference actually on Friday. And what we was dealing with there, or what we are dealing with there, is that we're going to rekindle the Stop the Violence movement. We're probably going to do it either independently or through HHA. We don't know yet. But right now it's independent. The Stop the Violence movement coming forward to obviously initiate another record, film, lectures, workshops, books. We're going to step the game up a little bit this time around and really make an impact on actually trying to teach our children the way of peace. I don't want to, I've never been the type to keep talking about stopping violence. It's time to get out into the streets and really stop it and really curb the crime. Really teach our children how to be citizens of a crimeless society and a less aggressive society. We don't have to be violent, especially not toward one another. We don't have to, it just doesn't have to happen. Yes, there are times to get aggressive. Oh, yes, it is. There are times, I would even admit, for violence in that sense. But not in society where we're supposed to be able to live in peace amongst one another. This is the supermarket, the movie theater, the school. These aren't places for violence. These are places for you to get what you got to get and do your thing. So we're taking in beats, rhymes, ideas, and suggestions. There are two places you could send beats and rhymes. The first place, the central place, is Kid Capri. Kid Capri's email. I'm going to put him on blast right now. His email is nokiddenrecords07@gmail.com. Let me spell it out. NOKIDDENRECORDS07@gmail.com. No kiddin' with the N, records 07@gmail.com. So, and I'll say it one more time. NOKIDDNRECORDS07@gmail.com. Send beats and rhymes to that address if you want to be a participant or donate, actually, being a participant in the Stop the Violence movement in that sense. It's going to be a huge project in that sense. You might want to be part of it. And also say something of some relevance to these kids. or really to the world. That's the Stop the Violence movement. The other address is info@hiphopalliance.org. That's info@hiphopalliance.org. You can send stuff there. But as you know, the central address is the one for Kid Capri, DJ Kid Capri. Last but not least is the Apprenticeship Tour that we're getting ready to embark upon. The Apprenticeship Tour, begins on the 14th in Venice, LA, California, and goes to the 25th, which ends in Sacramento, north, San Francisco, Sacramento area, Northern California. Starts in the south of California and goes up to the north of California. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And we only have 4 shows within that time. There are lectures and other things being planned, but nothing concrete. Right now, that's what we're out there doing. But we will be raising the bar. I'm going to be recording MC Light. I'm going to probably hold a convention so I can get that West Coast hip-hop history perspective. All of that is what we are planning. Joey True and King are here now to participate, help out, and assist in the planning of that. Those who want to get down on that either want to be part of some of the planning, or you want to come through as an apprentice, mostly for apprenticeship. If you want to come through as an apprentice, send your email, send your requests to tohhcali@gmail.com. Let me hit you again. tohhcali@gmail.com. tohhcali@gmail.com. That's for apprenticeship registration. But you can also add a comment or two or whatever if pertaining to this particular tour. But this is for apprentice, those that want to join us on this particular run, especially those who already joined us for the UK run. We talked about this. You may want to join us here and continue your studies. Okay, so that is the announcements. Those are the announcements. That's what we got going on. And this is what we're going to fulfill. Turn your gospel now. Get your gospel out, Gospel of Hip Hop. Make sure you got it. As you can see, mine is all beat down. Wow, I just saw that. Because I'm reading it. That's right. And yours should look similar to mine. And so last week, turn your gospel to page 776 and 777. I mentioned last week that was a really interesting number to end on, 777. That's what we ended last time on actual page 777. But the idea is that we are breaking down our lessons. I think this is track 4 we're on. Track 4 has about 3 lessons in it. Maybe 4 lessons. But I know it has 3 lessons in it. So when we get to parts like that within the Gospel of Hip Hop, we break those lessons down into individual readings. And because this session is kind of short, or relatively short, this is cool to actually take this bit by bit and piece by piece. So the first part of this, the first part that we was reading had to do with freedom in regards to slavery. Freedom. What does it mean to be free? What does it mean to be in bondage or bound? And we talked about freedom. We talked about the difference between freedom and liberty. We talked about, and one thing to add to that, I just saw a woman wearing a t-shirt that said, freedom is individual, liberty is collective. And that was an interesting take on it as well. I just thought I'd add that to the record. We were talking about those kinds of differences or even complements last week. So it was about freedom in regards to slavery. How do you not become a slave? What is the meaning of freedom? We started off the lesson with that. This week, this is the second part of the same study, track 4. We're still talking about freedom, but now we're talking about freedom in terms of identity. Freedom in terms of identity. Do you have control of your identity? Are you projecting to the world who you know you truly are? Or are you going along with a family tradition, a political creed or party, a religious affiliation, whatever, but you know there's a real you that's navigating all these other identities. We're going to talk about that today in our read. And this is the second part to this, and you'll see what I'm talking about as we read this. But just before we start, I want to bring up, the reason I say go to page 776 is because I want to bring up this paragraph 347. We highlight 347, 348, 349, 350, 351, and 352. We highlight those. And I want to read that again and just sail into our read for this week. This is what we highlighted last week. This is where I bring hip-hop into view. It is not every day that a group of human beings find themselves with the opportunity to establish a new civilization in the world based upon their own artistic and intellectual self-expression. This is the first part. It's not every day that people get a chance to do this. Our parents didn't get a chance to do this. They did it in certain areas and pockets, can't front. They did start their cities. They did. But what we're doing now on a global level, it is not every day that a movement as unique and as ever-growing as hip-hop comes along in human history with the ability to inspire whole populations of people toward world understanding, good times, and peace. Everybody don't get that responsibility. Groups of people or individuals don't always get that responsibility. We should focus on this. This is why we're highlighting this part, and I'm reading it again. The question here is, can we govern and correctly guide such a movement toward the upliftment and refinement of all interested people in the world? And that word refinement is directly related to culture. Can we govern ourselves? Can the hip-hop community really do better than many of the world's leaders today in regards to self-governance, moral authority, political consistency, and financial transparency? Can we do that? Here's more highlight. I'm on page 777. If we really put our minds to it, could we actually govern ourselves with a real rule of law, a free and intelligent press, as well as certain institutional structures that are respected and useful to our community? Can we actually maintain a government that has the participation of its people? Can we create a nation where health, love, awareness, and wealth for all of its citizens are the actual laws of that nation? Let me hit that again. Can we create a nation where health, love, awareness, and wealth are the actual laws of that nation? Look at what I'm saying. Look at what America's fighting over right now and other places around the world. But America, where we're at, health. What's up? This should be a law. Healthcare should be, healthcare is a human right. If any other human rights, above all other human rights, the right to live and live without disease or injury is a human right. Hip-hop says this should be a law. Health should be a law in society. We should not be selling things to the community that we know is going to destroy the health of the community. And I don't mean not sell your indulgences and your temptations and your cravings. No, everybody wants a piece of chocolate cake after every once in a while. No, I understand that. But as a government, can we govern, not stop people from selling stuff, but educate from a young age what to eat and what not to be eaten? So you have a choice. You know what it is, but we're not even educating young kids on nutrition and health from a young age so they grow up with this idea. It's too much competition. You know, I don't got to give you the lecture on healthcare in America these days, you know, but this should be a law. Awareness. Love. Health, love. Love. Love should be a law. Think about that for a minute. And here's how it works within society. Right now, there's laws against hate. But there's no law for love. An example of this would be like, for instance, traffic laws. And some of you may have heard me say this, so that's why I'm using this example. So the traffic laws, you can get pulled over for violating the law, violating traffic laws. But you can't get pulled over for following them. Meaning that just like you give me a ticket or would give me a ticket for violation of traffic laws, if I follow the law, something should acknowledge that I did that, and a credit should go on my behalf toward my citizenry in the country. Now, this may require cameras, more cameras around. And believe it or not, I'm an advocate for cameras. Okay, I know the whole surveillance thing. I understand that. You know, the whole surveillance and the big brother watching over you is a lie. You see, but the big brother watching over you, I understand that. But I would rather have a camera watch me than a racist. I'd rather be recorded by a camera than have to go by the police report that's being submitted. I'd rather a true witness to whatever is going on, that we could go back and look and see what's going on, not take somebody's word for it that's going to falsify documents and basically lie. So yes, I understand that surveillance piece, though. You know, we do get it. But if you are in a crimeless society and you're not doing no wrong, then you really don't care or mind cameras. So those that are doing wrong and doing crime in society, the cameras pick you right up right there. And you're the one destroying the society. You're the one that can't function within the group. You're the one. And the cameras should see that. Now, I mention that, all of this, because the camera should also see your kind acts. The camera should also see when you follow the law. Not every time you stop at the light, either in a car or as walking, you're supposed to get a citation. But there should be like a lottery. It should be like a lottery. You know, where the government actually cuts your taxes or pays you or does something at the end of the year because you was a citizen. Right now, people ain't getting nothing out of their citizenry. You're just told to follow the law, and there's no benefit to it. There's no benefit to it. In hard times like these, there should be benefits to following law. Now, of course, I understand. I hear philosophers, lawyers, judges say, wait, you're supposed to follow the law. And it's true. The law is about morality. You're supposed to have a high moral character, something to follow this law. You're supposed to understand the law. That's why you follow it, because I understand. But when you're dealing with people, millions of people that are depressed, desperate, angry, I mean, this is when you're dealing with a population like that, It is the job of government to guide, protect, teach these kinds of people, this society. Like, for instance, you got red, yellow, and green lights as the traffic light. When you're walking, sometimes you have red for stop, and then some use a white light to go or a green light to go with a little pedestrian cutout within the thing. What if there was a peace light that came on randomly in society? Or a you're gonna make it light? An affirmation light even, a light that went off that said you could stop for this one moment and pray. The whole society gives you this one moment of peace. Let us just stop and take a breath. What if a light came on and everyone in the society stopped for a minute to take a breath? We already do it to stop so pedestrians can go by, and they stop so the cars can go by. What a, I say respectfully, primitive way to govern a city. And primitive not in a lesser way, but it's the first way. It's the first way you've governed the city. It's the way we've been doing it for the last 100 years. Since the car and traffic needed to be regulated. That's how long we've been doing this. But now we're here now. We're at a certain part now. We're maturer now. We've grown up now. We've developed now. We can't do something better with the flow of traffic and the flow of people. We can't do something better. We did something with the bikes. We saw how for years we was just getting hit by cars riding your bike. It was a regular occurrence. But somebody came up with something and said, no, we could share this road and it can be a bike lane and a car lane. And we can start training people to look out for the bike as a means of driving a car. In Europe, you're asked not to walk in the bike lane. And Americans not used to that culture, always walking in the bike lane. And you get the bell ringing, the bell bikes, the bells that's on the bike, they ring, 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 or yo, honk your horn, whatever it is, it's on the bike. But I say this because, what if there was a peace light? What if there was a friendship light? A smile light? And these lights came on. As far as camera is concerned, what if there was a lottery where you was caught doing a good thing? The camera caught you following the law or helping someone out. And it was registered in a database. So if you ever get arrested or you make an error in society or whatever it is, they can go to justice can go to a database and see how many times you were cited for good citizenship. We shouldn't just be herded into prison and you just don't, okay, I made a mistake, I made a wrong turn, what? Now you're a criminal thrown on the ground, beaten to death. There should be something that you can punch up even when you get to court. This says this is a good citizen. Here are 10 citations over a period of time. This is what it was. The one with the most citations for the year, or something to this, the region with the most citations, it should be, gets a visit from the president and some kind of money going into education or whatever the community vote on should go, really get this citizenship up. And that's what we're discussing here. We are creating ourselves into the citizens we'd like to see. This is the point to the Temple of Hip Hop as well, to create a code of conduct, a citizenry where first of all, it's crimeless, but you prosper. That's the point. peace, and prosperity. So, I could talk about this, for days, but, well, wait a minute. Let me put a period on this, because I was walking through health, love, awareness, and wealth. And you just got me thinking right now, but health, love. So go back to that. The government doesn't show its love for its people. This is the point. And love for its people could be a peace light, a rest light, a you gonna make it light. Instead of the sign saying don't walk, say, proceed in peace. Or, not don't walk. Don't walk would probably be, please halt, or take a moment. Right. Rest now. Imagine that coming up. Right there. Rest now. And that means stop. Just chill. Or it just says chill. That would be the hip hop part of it. The thing comes on where it says don't walk. It'll say chill. So you just chill right there. And then it comes on and says proceed in peace. And you proceed. Why does it have to be walk? Don't walk. Stop. Go. No love for the people. So the idea of love being a law has to do with government showing appreciation for good citizenry. And of course, love means within the society, love your neighbor. Love your neighbor, it's a law. Those that break the law enter that hate stage. And there should be severe punishments for acts of hate. The hate should not be tolerated in the society, just like sickness should not be tolerated in the society. Health is the law. Hate is not tolerated in the society. Love is the law. Awareness. Obviously, awareness has to do with knowledge. Education is a human right and a necessary part to a nation. To have a strong nation, you have to have an informed citizenry. That's why America is looking kind of wobbly right now, contradicting its own name. The United States? Nah, this is the divided states. This is not a United State. This is a DS, not a US. So a DSA, not a USA. There's nothing united about the country. And it's immature for Congress to show us that. It's immature for the government to outwardly show us this immaturity. That means you're really not qualified to lead. I say that respectfully. I don't know anybody's problems or what they're going through. But just from what we see, without explanation or interpretation, just what we are seeing with our own eyes and ears, obviously, those that represent the United States government, too many of them, don't have the ability to lead. So hip-hop has to ask itself, but can we do better? Because without leadership, everybody's just doing anything. And that's not a nation. And thus, look at the United States. Look at the social condition. Hip-hoppers can think past this. Education has to be a law in our nation. A law, not optional. You got to know. Finally, wealth. Health, love, awareness, and what? Wealth. Poverty is eradicated from our society. How is poverty eradicated from our society? Because instead of these boring and useless trees, slave trees, they call them. So these useless trees you see in your neighborhood, why wouldn't you plant fruit trees? Oh, I guess that would interfere with the supermarket and business. I guess that would interfere with who knows what. But just like you put a worthless tree on the corner, you could put a lemon tree on the corner. Especially those in hot climates. Say in New York, you know, in that kind of situation, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the tri-state area. I don't know how many billions of pounds of food is wasted every day. Food pantries stay packed. People coming there all the time for food at the food pantry. Wealth is not determined by what you can accumulate. Wealth is determined by what you can give away. Do you have something to give? That determines your wealth. Not how much you got. How much you got is only impressing you. But what can you give away? Those that can give away and still smile are wealthy. Those that have an abundance, and such an abundance that they can give, that's wealth. You have a wealth. You have a source, a sum. You have an abundance. You have resources. Well, everyone in the society should be taught their purpose. Following your purpose is the seat of your wealth. It should be a law. No one in the society should be purposeless, without purpose, without aim, without vision. If you are one of these people, the government should give you a vision, a purpose. This goes back to education. You should be educated. The same way education was mandatory for us in the United States to go to kindergarten and first grade, second grade, third grade. If you weren't enrolled in school by 5 years old when I was growing up, your parents could be put in jail. All this homeschooling and learning online, that was not even imagined. The only place you could get knowledge was from that school, and you had to physically go. Some people are still living like that too to this day. But I say that wealth as a law has to do with eradicating poverty from society, eradicating hunger from society. Big up the United Way. You know, taking care of that. So I just want to reiterate on that. Health, love, awareness, and wealth. It says here, can we create a nation where health, love, awareness, and wealth for all of its citizens are the actual laws of that nation? I believe we can. But first, we must create ourselves into those people capable of such governance. And please understand this, we are not against anyone or anything here except our own immaturity and careless self-destruction. Please be clear with that. These ideas are for those people capable of seeing hip-hop's socio-political potential beyond music entertainment. The question here is, are you free? Are you free enough to see hip-hop in this way? Now, of course, I'm speaking to you right now. Some of you might be like, word, I could see it. Others are like, nah, I don't know, that sounds crazy. But either way, in 2009, this is what we were thinking. In 2009 is what we were thinking. Now we're coming up on 2023, and we're getting ready to enter into our physical temple, and we are protecting, literally, the birthplace of hip-hop. It's funny how revolution only works for those that participate in it. Or in this case, hip-hop only serves the interests of those that serve hip-hop's interests. When raising the question again as to are we free, I tend to search for such answers within myself and my perception of my world. No one can free me except me. Liberty is external. It is political, but freedom is internal. It is spiritual. For me, if I am truly free, now this is about identity now. For me, if I am truly free, then I have the ability to examine my self-existence independently of every external title I've been forced to accept from birth. In other words, I can see myself outside of my oppressor's interpretation of me. This is a hard thing to do, but this is why we're teaching it. Again, I can see myself, my true self, outside of my oppressor's interpretation of me. I have the ability to know the space that lies between me and my acceptance of externally imposed ideas and identities upon my being. Can you see that space? This is where it starts. This is the creation of a new people. That there is you, the being, and you, the being, have no name, no form, nothing. You, the being. You have an experience. That's about it. But people outside of you have named you something, beginning with your name. Beginning with your name. You came into the world called something. You did not call yourself this. Then you were told you were black or white or red, yellow, brown, whatever. You were told this. You didn't say this about yourself. You were told this. And to function in society, you answer to your name, answer to your race, answer to your ethnicity. You may be someone's son, daughter, maybe someone's aunt, uncle, father, mother, grandfather. It goes on and on and on. All these titles. Well, can you see for a minute yourself without none of those titles? Without none of them titles, okay? I have the ability to know the space that lies between me and my acceptance of externally imposed, outside imposed ideas and identities upon my being. Can I see the naked me? Here to be free is to be in touch with the nakedness of your being, even before your family name and birthday. To be aware of the naked you is the beginning of true freedom. Now, this is where we started. This is where we said we were going to start next week, this week now. And on top of that, I want to go ahead and highlight paragraph 355. I think that is important to get. Paragraph 355. Here, to be free is to be in touch with the nakedness of your actual being, even before your family name and birthday. To be aware of the naked you is the beginning of true freedom, because you're detaching yourself for just a moment, not shirking your responsibilities as a father or mother or son or daughter or whatever, not disregarding, oh, I may be African, I may be European, I may be Latino, I may, or whatever, not shirking any of that. But for a moment, can you exercise your mind to think of yourself without all that? Can you perceive yourself for a moment without the baggage of these titles? Reading on. I find that it is my perceptions of the world around me and what I believe I can do in such a world that determines not only my inner freedom, but also my outer liberties. Again, freedom, like slavery, is a state of mind. And further, I believe that I can actually be whatever I can perceive myself as. It is this view of life and of living that helps to inform my political and social views today. This is how I can rationalize hip-hop as its own self-governed civilization in the modern world. This is because in reality, All of the titles, labels, and identities that I am currently answering to today are all my decisions and my creations. Even though I was told, or rather force-taught, my African American identity, and I never really got a chance in my younger years to truly discover my own nature for myself and name such a nature for myself, it seems that I have taken the identity that was forced upon me and my parents by those only interested in exploiting us. And I am trying to make the best of it. All of us affected by the institution of slavery are trying to make the best out of a worse, slave owners included. Trying to make the best out of the worst, slave owners included. The reason I diverted over to the slavery part here is because, read it again, that African American identity, I never really got a chance in my younger years to truly discover my own nature for my own self. When I was born, I was told, you African American. What? What is African? What is American? What is black? What is this? So you study, you learn, and this becomes a habit of mind, a habit of identity. Even though, let me read this again. No, actually, I'm sorry. I'm on paragraph 359. Slave owners included. 359, here we go. This seems to be a post-slavery psychological disorder we suffer from, because the first act of any free person is to name themselves based upon the nature of their newly discovered true being. African American, Negro, nigger, nigga, black, Afro-American, American, and even African are all identities and names that simply do not fit my modern nature accurately. Think about that. These identities were given to me. I did not give them to myself. In truth, I am really none of these identities. My true nature is timeless, shapeless, and colorless. Is this not the truth? And see, this is where philosophers and those that claim they thinking, as well as spiritual people, this is where you're going to have to really make a decision here. Is this not the truth? Is it not true that anything I focus my mind upon, I will eventually become? Am I not responsible for the creation of myself? If these are real questions, then true freedom for me and my kind, hip-hoppers, is the total recreation of ourselves. True freedom means we got to recreate ourselves. If I am no longer a slave for real, then I am free to call myself whatever I like, whatever my nature is. And those who truly and honestly recognize the free status of my true and free nature will acknowledge and respect the name that I have chosen for myself. Yes, I am indeed a black man. My political color is black. But am I really the color black, or am I really brown? Really, beyond my political distinction as a black man, I am a father, I am a thinker, an inventor, an investigator of myself and my surroundings. I am an MC, a son, a brother. These things are what define my being, not the political skin color I may be designated to. Like, even these things are a little more, even beyond black or African, I'm more father than African American. I'm more of a son or a brother or a husband than I am black. And so think, just think about that for a minute. These things are what define my being, not the political skin color I may be designated to. Is it not true that I create myself? See, we say this all the time, but we don't really believe it. We don't put it into practice. Is it true, like, as a man thinketh, so he is. As a man thinketh, so it is. Thoughts are things. You get what you expect. We pop that yang all the time. But when it's time to put it into actual practice, now we see who's real and who's fake. Let's read on. Yes, I am indeed a black man. My political color is black. But am I really the color black, or am I really brown? Even beyond my political distinction as a black man, I am a father, I am a thinker, an inventor, an investigator of myself and my surroundings. I am an MC, a son, and a brother. These things are what define my being, not the political skin color I may be designated to. Is it not true that I create myself? Is it not true that I create myself from within? That it is the conscious choices that I make daily that further create and express my true being? Is it not true that I am choosing the self that I am as well as the self that I shall become? Therefore, it is also true that self-creation is the ultimate state of freedom for the previously enslaved people, now freed. Not free, but freed. Here, freedom means that I decide my identity for myself. My identity is not taught to me in school. It is discovered naturally within me in life, by me. I choose today to be a black man because I lend myself to the struggles of those so-called black people. This is my free choice. I choose to be a black man. But that's not really what I am. The I am. That part there? Nah. Now, you can't put a political designation on the I am. I am not a black man because the government labels me this. I am a black man because I choose to be. It is I who empower the identity and label of black man. It is not the other way around. For now, though, I may reluctantly agree with the common mainstream political description of myself as a black man or as African American and so on, because it is common to the population in which I reside. But the common mainstream descriptions of me are not my descriptions of myself. The mainstream descriptions of you are not the mainstream descriptions of yourself. My nature defines me. My nature defines me. And my nature is free. Therefore, as an actual political, racial, ethnic identity, I am more a free man in a black man disguise. I am actually from the mental, spiritual land of free. And as a free man, I am from that group of free people with free minds. I am not afraid to be or create myself. Politically, culturally, and spiritually, I can be anyone I choose to be simply by pledging my love and loyalty to the reality of my chosen identity, whatever that identity may be. I can actually call myself a white man and then find all kinds of facts to substantiate my claims if I want to. This is the issue with all social labels, professional titles, and politically created identities. Ultimately, they are all choices. But once chosen, your choice empowers the nature of your chosen identity and produces the reality that you have charged it with. As a black man, I am a free man. And as a free man, I choose to be whatever makes me happy and secure. For me, happiness and security is found in being and living hip-hop. Hip-hop is my nature. It is what comes naturally to me. As a truly free man with a truly free mind, I choose to call myself hip-hop. I am hip-hop. If you must connect me to a race or to a political group in the world, then I am, of course, then I am of the black race. I am a black man, if you got to connect me to something. A black hip-hopper or a hip-hop American. But if you ask me what I think of myself, or if you ask me about the character of the person under this dark skin, I will say that I am hip-hop. One race or ethnicity alone cannot really define me today. This is the truth about a lot of us. In his book, The best of urban art, graffiti writer Justin Ball writes, quote, "The characters that I draw and paint represent who I am and what I value. They are from different backgrounds that together form one urban culture. People ask me what I am: Puerto Rican, Italian, Jewish, African American. Like my characters, I can't define myself by one race. I have so many different bloodlines flowing through my veins and grew up in such a uniquely integrated culture that I am just me. I am part of an urban race united by the city. We judge each other by the content of our character." I'm going to say that again. "We judged each other by the content of our character. This is where the slang word one comes from. We are one. Urban life challenges us to thrive among diversity and vibe off of one another in a positive way." End quote. That's Justin Ball talking. This is hip hop, and this is hip hop, and this is the thinking of a large percentage of the audience that is attracted to our movement. Yes, I will always be a brown-colored human being, a black man, an African. But so is most of humanity, even all of humanity, when you consider human origins and the fact that white people are actually beige today, rather than the fictitious color of white. Open your eye, your mind. Everything that you call yourself is your voluntary choice to do so. We can create and or recreate ourselves right now. In fact, with every name, title, and or label we assign or accept for ourselves, we actually add to the creation of our actual physical and mental self. You are truly whoever and or whatever you repeatedly think you are. This too is a fact. Let's highlight 375 and 376. Let's highlight this. So when it comes to freedom and the continued struggle for justice in our time, it is now apparent that our generation carries the burden of creating itself. We must now take our hip-hop activity in the world seriously and organize ourselves into the nation our parents and grandparents dreamt of. All of the ingredients for the creation of a new world civilization exist within hip-hop today. Our only challenge today is our only lack of belief in ourselves. And this too is part of hip-hop's real history. Like many world cultures, including the American popular culture, hip-hop seems to be born from cultural syncretism, meaning the blending of different cultures to create a new culture. This is what makes hip-hop as an international culture possible. These are its origins. Now, this is where we're going to stop for a minute, because this is beginning, that's the third lesson now. And I'm going to read a little more here, but we're going to go over this again next week. But I want you to just pause here at paragraph 377. Okay? Paragraph 377. Now, this is the third lesson. Okay, this is the beginning of the third lesson. And this has to do with the creation of culture, freedom as culture. Shout out to Poor Righteous Teachers, Culture Freedom. But freedom within culture. The freedom to create society. Not be dictated to what society is, but the freedom to create society. Whether you are a participant in society or you are originating a society like we are. So this begins the third lesson, and I just want to read a little bit of it before we part. Look at this. Like many world cultures, including the American popular culture, hip-hop seems to be born from cultural syncretism, meaning the blending of different cultures to create a new culture. This is what makes hip-hop as an international culture possible. These are its origins. The concept of further developing a popular social movement into a sovereign community of specialized people is not new, and there is much research and many precedents to study from regarding this subject. Hip-hop is the combination and unity of several independent cultures and subcultures, creating a new heterogeneous culture. This happens often in world history. Old cultures give birth to new cultures. Older civilizations have even given birth to our present American civilization. Why treat hip-hop any different when it is clearly experiencing a similar historical reality in its present day as other great world civilizations have experienced at their genesis? The question is not whether hip-hop is a culture or not. The question is, do we want it to be? Can we actually govern ourselves? Looking upon the cultural history of just this Western civilization in which we live, we can see how cultures are created and why. Classical civilization was born from the wreckage of Cretan civilization in the period 1150 to 900 BC. And Western civilization was born from the wreckage of classical civilization in the period 350 to 700 AD. Now stop. This is where I'll stop, because now I'm going to get into the creation of culture out of other cultures. Like we always talk about this, and we've talked about this, how breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing were at one time individual cultures. And the parties that Kool Herc produced, as well as Africa Bambaataa and Zulu Nation, and later on all of us that would play, these parties attracted breakers, MCs, graffiti writers, DJs, and others, like our fashion and all this other stuff that came with that party. This specific group came together to enjoy what we call hip-hop, but they were at one time individual. Graffiti was graffiti. Wasn't connected to nothing else. It existed on its own. And even the graffiti we're doing existed on its own. Rapping, been existing on its own. Breaking, been, DJing. So this idea of hip-hop being heterogeneous, different cultures coming together to form a new one. This is not new in world history. It's just rare. It's just rare. But it's not new. And we're going to give some examples of this happening in other cultures. Like we gave just two examples here with classical civilization coming out of Cretan civilization, Roman civilization, really. Greece coming out of Crete, and Rome coming out of, actually, really Greece, so on. But culture born, culture births culture, kind of thing. So that's going to be our read, this second part. Now remember that what we just read was about identity, freedom as identity, freedom to call yourself what you like, in that sense, what is empowering to you. Not disrespecting your family name, your family traditions, your nation of origin, your history, none of that. Don't get it twisted. But in this philosophical research part, you have to be able to move your mind around. You have to be able to think beyond these titles in order to create a new nation, in order to become a new people. We have to at least be able to envision, wait a minute, we're calling ourselves black. Let's be real with that. We're calling ourselves African American. Let's be real with that. We're calling ourselves Christian, Jew, so on. Let's be real with that. These are decisions we are putting onto ourselves. We are adopting these titles and living our lives through them. Well, we could do the same with hip-hop. You can adopt the hip-hop title and live your life through that. I'm having a wonderful time with that particular adoption of this culture in that way. I mean, I grew up in the culture itself, but still, many grew up in the culture and still have not adopted it as their culture, as their identity. Hip-hop is my identity. This is what I identify with. This is what I am identical to. Hip-hop. So I leave you with that. That's a third lesson. I'm sorry, that's a second lesson. Next week, we will deal with that third lesson. So there it is, y'all. I appreciate you being here. And again, the Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. I'll see you next week.